Hello out there. What's going on out there, Spotlight Faithful? It's your main man, Tommy, on the spot. How the heck are you today, football fanatics? Hope you're doing well. Hope you are still continuing to both survive and thrive, because at the end of the day, that is the name of the game. Welcome to today's edition of the Football Drive, as today we're going to be taking a look at the knockout pool / survivor pool strategies for week number 5 in the NFL. A quarter of the season already out of the way, so if you're still alive, give yourself a kudo on that, especially if you have no strikes in your league, because that's badass. Honestly, it is not an easy thing to do to remain still alive. I think week 2 or 3, I think it was week 3 was really the killer. That was like every single one of the games, folks were knocked out. A lot of people had the Dolphins that week. The Jets beat them. Pittsburgh ended up falling to Chicago. That was a brutal week. I think the only 2 wins that were anything were Green Bay barely and New England barely. It was literally almost every person in my pool was knocked out. Remember, I am in a 2-strike league, so even though folks got a strike, they weren't necessarily knocked out, but everybody had a strike that week except for like 2 or 3 people in my league. It was insane. But if you're still there, I hope that you're enjoying your league. Hope you're having a good time. Hope you're enjoying the football season. Football season's been a lot of fun thus far. How about my Jets 2-2, huh? And I guess on the opposite side of things, how about the Giants 0-4? Unbelievable. But let's get into why you're here. The survivor pool strategy for the week. It's a tough week. It's a tough week mostly because most of the really bad teams are playing each other. If your strategy is to bet against the Jets, well, you're going to pick the Browns. If your strategy is to bet against the Browns, well, now you're going to pick the Jets. If your strategy is to pick against the Giants, are you going to pick the 0-4 Chargers? It's really tough. Even the 0-4 49ers are facing the 1-3 Indianapolis Colts. It's a really difficult week. So let's get in. Let's try our best to kind of maneuver through this here. Starting with your best pick of the week. If you have not used the Pittsburgh Steelers, now's the week to do so. I know a lot of people are saying, oh, you never know with Jacksonville, and you really don't. Jacksonville looked like the most dominant team in the country, well, I guess in the world, after they went to London, stomped the crap out of the Ravens. It wasn't even close. Looked like they were going to get a shutout victory, but it really, in my opinion, exposed more for how fraudulent the Ravens were going into that week more than anything else. That was also week 3. A lot of people had the Ravens. They go in there and get stomped by Jacksonville. So you're starting to think Jacksonville's looking good. Maybe they'll be 3-1. And last week they come out and they lose to the New York Jets. So this week, I would say, don't worry about it. Don't worry about all the drama with the Steelers. Steelers are the pick of the week. They are the most, I think they're the best choice of the week. I think they're the only real safe lock-it-up pick. I'm going to give you 2 more picks that I really like as well, and then I'm going to give you some games to stay away from. One of the games I really like this week is actually the Minnesota Vikings, and it doesn't matter to me who is playing for Minnesota at quarterback, whether it be Sam Bradford returning, whether it be Case Keenum, doesn't really matter. And do excuse me, by the way, I am on the earthquake. I am now traveling over the earthquake ride at Universal. That's why my car is all over the place. Completely ridiculous roads right here in Brooklyn, but it is what it is. With that being said, I love the Vikings this week. Mitchell Trubisky, no offense to him, he's starting for Chicago, and that's the start of a new era. Crowd will be amped for it. Sure, he'll be amped for it, and that's my point. It's on prime time. It's tough, man. I think that the Bears are not very good. I know they had that one win over Pittsburgh, but that was, as Adam Shine says, that was the Mike Tomlin letdown game of the year, so I wouldn't read too much into that. First ever start for a rookie against a good Vikings team on primetime Monday Night Football. It's too much, man. It's just, I think the Vikings are a solid choice. I would go with them, and then there's not too many other times where you could pick the Vikings. So I'd pick the Vikings this week. You obviously have the Steelers, and another choice I'm going to throw at you is the Tennessee Titans. Now, this is contingent upon whether or not Marcus Mariota starts. The Titans are on the road, and they're at Miami. Miami might actually be the worst team in the entire league. If it was not for the San Diego kicker blowing a second straight kick and the fact that San Diego plays good enough just to lose every single week, I would say right now that the Dolphins would be 0-3, and I'd say it with confidence. They barely escaped that game. They got I'll be straight up honest, the only decisive win the Jets have had all year was against that same Dolphins team, And then last week, not even competitive against the Saints team that's still pretty meh and doesn't know what it's doing with Adrian Peterson. So I don't like the Dolphins at all. If Mariota is playing, and it looks like he will be, I'd be willing to take the Titans this week. Again, it's not a great week, but you could probably take the Titans and get away with it. I think they're still a good team, and I have no hope in the Dolphins. Jay Cutler looks disinterested, and when Jay Cutler is disinterested, Jay Cutler is not very good. So those are my 3 choices this week. Love the Steelers. You want to take them. That's more of your safe bet. If you want to go with somebody a little outside the box, I'd go with the Vikings this week. You don't have too many opportunities where you can take them, and I think they'll be solid even on the road. And Tennessee also on the road. Don't like to take road teams in knockout pools, but I'd go with Tennessee or I'd go with Minnesota. Pittsburgh, obviously the best bet though, especially because they are at home, but there's a chance you probably already used them, so those are kind of your backup picks there. Some games to stay away from this week. Obviously, stay away from all those games I mentioned earlier. I know the Giants should get a win this week. That's probably a decent pick. But Phillip Rivers has been playing some great ball, and you can't really necessarily count out the Chargers. I feel like both those teams are desperate. It could go either way, so stay far, far away. Stay away from the Jets and Browns. A lot of people are backing the Jets in this game, myself included. Love the Jets, but I just can't pull the trigger on them. They shoot themselves in the foot time and time and time again. They did everything they could to give that game away. I think they'd have to work really hard to give the game to Cleveland, but I can't back the Jets. I also can't back the Browns because of the fact that I've backed the Browns a couple of times this year, and they've burned me. They've burned me time and time again. So I would also steer clear of the Buffalo Bills. A lot of people like the Bills this week. Bills fans getting a little excited, pumping out their chest. I actually got some money on Twitter riding on a big $5 bet ski with a Bills fan because I think the Bills go into Cincy and lose this week. Bengals have been playing some decent ball. They looked good against Green Bay. They demolished the Browns last week. I know it's the Browns, but this is the type of game that the Bills lose. This is also the type of game that the Bengals win. So I think I like the Bengals to win that one, so I would not pick the Bills. And lastly, don't touch tonight's game. I know it's tough. I know everyone's, the Pats are coming back. Pats are going to wreck house, and they might, but until that defense starts to show you something, I'm not confident taking the Pats. And remember, the Pats also still have 2 matchups with the Jets and 2 matchups with the Dolphins. We'll get some opportunities to utilize the Pats. I wouldn't do it against a good Tampa Bay team who had one hiccup, but last week looked good against the Giants and has a lot of talent. So that's going to do it for me today. Make sure you check me out again, though tomorrow we'll be breaking down games against the spread. The football drive is back, and we're having a hell of a time. So on the eve of my birthday, take it easy, be well.